Hello, welcome back. This is Terry Collins. The title of this lecture is Introduction to Sustainability Ethics. In this lecture, our goals are the following. We'll begin by explaining an overview of the big impacts of modern technology that challenge sustainability. Then we'll state the definition of ethics and consider the links with sustainability and green chemistry. And finally, we'll consider helpful ideas for promoting behavior that leads towards a sustainable future. Science and sustainability, a complex relationship. At the beginning of this new millennium, we, chemists and scientists in general, as well as the entire population, can look on the closing centuries of its predecessor and view with pride the unprecedented understanding achieved through science in the physical, chemical, and biological dimensions of our reality. What science has done in the last 150 or so years is truly remarkable. We enjoy enormous resulting benefits in the form of a multitude of technologies that are the children of science, as well as from the intrinsic fascination of scientific knowledge. But the expression of scientific and technological prowess has come with the cost of imbalances in the natural order that was in place prior to the scientific age. These imbalances are as forbidding for the future as the fruits of our scientific and technological prowess are enticing for the present. The imbalances include the rapid depletion of non-renewable natural resources, especially fossilized carbon, with the associated rapid increase in chemical products, carbon dioxide, heavy metals, particulates, etc., in the environment that undermine health and sustainability. The expansion of pollution that has increased background toxicity, with special concern being appropriate for persistent toxicants and developmental disruptors, and has produced unanticipated and even dramatic changes in the composition and properties of the environment with negative consequences for living things. The greatly expanded human population and the diminution in per capita availability of arable land, fresh water, and other resources necessary for the pursuit of a dignified and fulfilling human life. So with our civilization being confronted with problems of this magnitude, it's appropriate for us to go right back to the core values of the civilization and think about what might be right or wrong with respect to those core values in order to try to turn things around to try to achieve a sustainable future. And this then brings us to the field of ethics. The field of ethics involves systematizing, defending, and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior. The work that we'll look at in the ethics area comes from two primary sources. The first is a book called The Imperative of Responsibility in Search of Ethics for the Technological Age by Hans Jonas. The English version was published in 1984, and I consider it a landmark book in sustainability ethics. The second book is First Things First by Stephen Covey, Roger Merrill, and Rebecca Merrill, published in 1994, which contains many helpful ways at looking at professional postures towards work and sustainability in the modern world. Our main theme is that sustainability ethics and green chemistry are intimately conjoined. Systemizing, recommending, and defending principles of right and wrong behavior for the goal of leading mankind to a sustainable future are the substance of sustainability ethics. Remember that green chemists design chemical products and processes to reduce and eliminate the use and generation of hazardous substances. Thinking about the language and ideas that we've been developing in the earlier lessons, moving chemistry towards ever more sustainable products and processes is not only feasible, it is also an ethical imperative for chemists. It's the right thing to do so that we might better meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So let's move on then to some ideas from the book First Things First that can help us deal with sustainability. And I'm picking up here on the idea of these quadrants that have to do with escaping urgency addiction, where we can ask the question of how should universities confront sustainability. Covey and his co-authors have told us that you can take any human activity and describe it with two descriptors. Every activity is either urgent or not urgent to the person carrying out the activity, and it is either also important or not important to the person carrying out the activity. With these descriptors, then, you get the quadrants. So you have the activities that are urgent and important to the person carrying out the activity. This is the quadrant of necessity. Here we do what we generally must. An example that the authors give: the child falls over and breaks his leg. Mum and Dad stop everything immediately and deal with the problem. The second quadrant we'll deal with are those activities that are not urgent and not important to the person carrying them out. This is the quadrant of waste, where we squander our chances to be authentic. The third quadrant, and the quadrant where urgency addiction primarily lies, involves those activities that are urgent but not important. This is the quadrant of deception. Here we let systems steal our chances to be authentic. The authors argue that many individuals spend much of their professional life in this quadrant responding to demands from the system. Get me that report by this date. Execute this task by this time. And it becomes easy for individuals to spend the vast majority of their professional life simply responding to the system in these ways. Then the authors tell us that by far the most important quadrant for authenticity of the individual involves those tasks or those activities that are not urgent but important to the person carrying out the task. This is the quadrant of originality, where we define our authenticity and frame the original work we're capable of. As the authors tell us, this could be something as simple as getting exercise or reading a book. These are the activities where no one is going to penalize us for not carrying them out, but where deep down we understand that these are the things that most will make us happy and authentic human beings. The more fully authentic human beings that there are in a civilization, the more healthy that civilization is. Just as it is the bane of professional life, urgency addiction could also suffocate the healthy scientific pursuit of sustainability. So, looking closely at my own corner of the professional world, how should university chemists change to deal with sustainability? How can the quadrants help us in that regard? If we look to the quadrant of urgent and important, the quadrant of necessity, for university chemists, you do have to secure your own dominion, that is, obtain tenure. You do have to collect adequate resources to do your work. Perhaps most significantly of all, you do have to recruit great co-workers, outstanding students and postdocs and collaborators to help with you with the business, the complicated business of producing original scientific work in the 21st century. And you have to publish adequately. In the next quadrant, the quadrant of activities that are not urgent and not important, the quadrant of waste, seems to me, in my 30 years of experience in American academic chemistry, to be very little waste. People are exceptionally diligent. In the quadrant of deception, those activities that are urgent but not important, we have publish or perish as perhaps the main problem here in place of do important work. And the problem for green chemistry, that it could be turned into just another exercise in resource collection rather than as something deep, fundamental, and transformational with respect to sustainability. The vital quadrant for green chemistry and for the pursuit of sustainability is the quadrant of originality. The world will not stop if we do not focus our research energy strategically on the great problems of sustainability. But each year that we delay could mean that a sustainable future becomes more elusive. Similarly, systematizing, defending, and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior with regard to achieving a sustainable future in the way we operate the chemical enterprise is something we've never had in chemistry. The world will not stop if we never have this. But each of us can probably see, based on our own experience, how important it is that we integrate sustainability ethics into research and education in chemistry. And the world will also go on if we do not create sustainable economics, where the welfare of health and the environment become integral parts of the value proposition. But we have to each ask ourselves, where will our civilization end up if we do not do this? So this brings us to a series of discussion or thinking points on the quadrants and their application to green chemistry and sustainability. I'll give them as statements and then ask if you agree or disagree. The quadrants highlight the great importance of authenticity in the life of the individual. Do you agree or disagree? The quadrants highlight that the individual is the custodian of his or her own originality. Fully expressing this originality is key to fulfillment. Do you agree or disagree? The quadrants are transferable to the life of a science and even to the life of a civilization. Do you agree or disagree? To lead to life-affirming results, the development of authentic green chemistry must seek to better the human condition while being guided by principles that treasure life. All life. Do you agree or disagree? Please think about these points or discuss them if appropriate, and when you finish that, you'll be ready to move on to the next lesson. In the next lesson, we will explore more deeply the insights that Hans Jonas has developed into what we can now call sustainability ethics, and how these apply to the challenges green chemistry and green science face.